Hare Krishna Mataji, are you able to see the screen, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, both are visible. Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So before we start, please let us take the blessings of the beautiful deities of Sri Radha Govinda Ji. Sri Radha Govinda Ji ki Jai. So 15.1. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhvamulam Adah Shakam Ashwattham Prahuravyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Saveda Ved. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and those leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this true tree is the knower of the Vedas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So here, so in this, so this is the inverted, reflected banyan tree that they are talking about. So that reflected banyan tree is nothing but the material world that we are staying in. They're just comparing. See, actually, the original tree exists in the spiritual world. So when we see a reflection of a tree, how is it like? It is like just the opposite, right? Like say, it'll be like the branches are downward, the roots are going upwards. So the same thing is being said here. So let's see. So in this section of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna talks about material world, how a living entity gets entangled in the material world, spiritual world, which is the actual source of the material world, and the need for developing attachment. Right? So the analogy of a banyan tree is used to show how the material world is a perverted reflection of the material world. So what can we learn from this analogy? Material world. So Lord Krishna compares the material world to an inverted banyan tree with its roots upwards and branches downwards because it is being reflected on the water. And this can be seen of a tree standing on a bank of a body of water. The tree is analogized with the spiritual world and a reflection to the material world. So we should understand the original tree is in the spiritual world and the reflection is the material world. And the desires of the living entities are compared to water. And what is that water? Water is nothing but those are the desires of the living entities, right? So a living being performs fruitive activities is like a bird jumping from branch to branch, enjoying the fruits of the tree, which are dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. See, like how we can see a monkey, right? It is never, we can never see a monkey sitting at one place. It is always enjoying jumping from one branch to another. So, like that, the living being, he tries to enjoy, he's not satisfied with this. Okay, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do that. Okay, so he's just searching for sense gratification. So here they're representing, showing branch. They're jumping from branch to branch, enjoying the fruits of a tree. Like how a monkey jumps, right? It's not satisfied staying at one. That's why it jumps from branch to branch. So like that, the living entity is not satisfied with sense gratification. So he wants that. He tries. So that's why this is being represented as the jumping from branch to branch. The material world is not only unreal and perverted reflection of the spiritual world, but it is temporary. So, can we touch the reflection? No, right? We can't touch the reflection. So, they are saying the material world is not only unreal, it is unreal. We can't touch it because reflection we can't touch, right? In water, we can't touch. And perverted, and not only it is unreal, but what are they saying? It is temporary. A tree is not going to live forever. Similarly, all the living entities wandering in the material world are not going to be permanently situated at one place. Based on their activities, there are two possibilities. where the living entities may go. So some living entities might get liberated from the clutches of material energy and they go back to the spiritual world. Okay, that is one category. They practice Krishna consciousness and they go back to the spiritual world. But other living, second category, they are either promoted or thrown down into lower planetary systems or lower species of life. Either they go to heavenly planet or they go to hellish planets. Non-living entity, right from Lord Brahma to an insignificant ant, will live forever. See, so no living entity, even including Lord Brahma, and take us even the smallest ant, they will never live forever. They will have to leave their bodies at a certain time. Maybe both have a duration of lifespan, after which they have to take birth in a different body. Lord has said that the material world is dukkhalayam ashashvatam, place of misery, and it is temporary. So Krishna himself says that this material world is full of miseries, dukkhalayam, and it is ashashvatam, it is temporary. Everything that we see in the material world actually exists in the spiritual world. So whatever we are seeing in this material world will definitely exist in the spiritual world, because this material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. Okay, the form and quality in spiritual world is completely different, made of Sat, Chit and Ananda. Sat means eternity. Means the spiritual world is not like this material world. It is Sat, it is there eternal, because it's the real thing. The real tree is there. So that is real. It will be there forever. So it is eternal. Chit means full of knowledge, right? And Ananda, it is full of bliss. Nothing in the spiritual world is formless without any qualities existing as impersonal light. It is very much personal. So we should not think that in the spiritual world it's only just light, impersonal Brahmajyoti. Now, everything is person. Every person is active over there, including the trees. They have life. A sweet that you're eating, that also they have life. Everything has life over there. Okay. The leaves of the tree here are compared to Vedic hymns. The living entity is hopping from branch to branch, trying to taste the fruits called Dharma, Artha, Kama. So, because he doesn't know how to, I mean, like he's not satisfied with one sense gratification, that is why he's jumping Dharma, Artha, one branch called Dharma, one branch called Artha, then one branch called Kama, right? And moksha, right? They're jumping. So one should not become bewildered by the leaves of fruits and fruits of enjoyment. Okay, so we should not get attracted by these different dharma, the different branches keep on jumping for sense gratification. But we should try to know the purpose of life. One needs to understand the purpose of the Vedas. Generally, Vedas means we'll do all the ritualistic activities so that we can go to heaven, or for our benefit, whatever we want, we worship different demigods to get our material benefits. But the purpose of the Vedas is not that. The purpose of the Vedas is to know the Lord, the compiler of Vedanta. So this is the reflected banyan tree, if you can see, right? Where this the topmost root you can see is Brahma, right? We can see on the topmost root, Brahma is sitting. So that means that is the topmost planet. And on the right side, we can see the branches are protruding downwards and upward. And near Brahma, near the topmost branch, we can see the demigods, right? We can see demigods sitting. And as we go down, we see living entities and cows on the lower branches, right here. And we are jumping, we can see, right, jumping from different trees. Like one is economic branch called economic development, one is a branch called religiosity, and like that different branches are there. Okay, so we should not try to get attracted to all of these, right? We should go above Brahma. Above Brahma means what? The waters of desire. So we should cut off the waters of the water that is there is the desires, material desires. If we cut, we can reach Krishna and go above that Brahma Loka. right? So we can see the blue thing, that is desire. The water is see, we generally compare reflection, we see in water, right? But that water is the desire of water. Desires. We have so many material desires. If we can cut the material desires, then we can see Krishna. Okay. So second shloka. Adashchortvam prashrutastasya shakha guna pravriddha vishaya pravalaha adascha mulani anusantataनि karmanubandhini manushya Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji, thank you. Hare Krishna. Translation 15.2. The branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourishing by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. This tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to the living actions of human society.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, so we saw right in the earlier banyan tree how the branches of the banyan tree are spread in all directions, right? We saw, and in the lower parts, what did we see? They are living entities, human beings, animals, horses, cows, and dogs. We saw, but in the upper parts, what we saw the living, the living higher forms of living entities. Who are they? The demigods, the Gandharvas, and many other high species of life, right? As a tree is nourished by water, so this tree of material world is nourished by the three modes of material nature. Okay, so everything is in the material world is run on the three modes, right? Prakriti, it is run by them. Just as some tracts of land are barren and some tracts green, depending on the availability of water, depending on the prevalence of particular modes of material nature, different species of lives are manifested. So, per the modes of material nature, we get different bodies for which we get different sense objects for which we are destined for our karma, right? The twigs of the tree are considered to be sense objects like sight, smell, sound, taste, all that. By development of different modes of nature, we develop different senses, right? So see, we cannot say that the senses of the dog and the senses of a man are same. The sense objects are obviously different. The eyes that they have, they see different. The ears that they have and we have is different. The nose, smelling capacity, everything is different. So each body that comes into this material world has a different set of eyes, different set of ears, different set of nose. I mean, everything is like the sense objects are different. Okay, so through these senses, we enjoy different varieties of sense objects. The senses are associated with the enjoyment of different sense objects, and the subsidiary roots are attachments and aversions. So we saw Brahma, the main root is like Krishna, and from Krishna, secondary roots are what they're saying, we can see, are attachments and aversions, which are byproducts of different varieties of suffering and sense enjoyment. Okay, the secondary roots, the subsidiary roots, not the primary root, the subsidiary, and this means the secondary roots. The tendencies towards piety and impiety are considered to develop from these secondary roots, which spread in all directions. The real root see, is from Brahmaloka, and the other roots are in the human planetary systems. So we should understand that the main root, the highest root, main root, the real root is Brahmaloka. We saw it topmost, right? That is the Brahmaloka. And as and other roots are called are the whatever planets we see remaining. Okay, the other planets are there, right? Below Brahma, there is like Janaloka, Tapaloka, and then all the heavenly planets, and then comes Bhuloka, and then comes the hellish planets, right? All that will be there below. So, after one enjoys the results of virtuous activities in the upper planetary systems, he comes down to the earth and renews his karma or fruitive actions for promotion. So we know, right? Once we do all these pious activities, we go to the heavenly planet after we die. And then once the pious credit is over, we again have to come back to the earthly planet, right? So this planet of human beings, that is Earth, is considered the field of activities. So see, if I zoom in, see actually this is the original tree that you're seeing, Krishna. Because of that desire, means that reflection, we had material desires, that is why we are put here. And in that also the topmost root is called Brahmaloka. So in the roots, other roots are what? See, the roots are going down, right? That means they are the other below planets, right? And the branches we can see, right? Upper branches, we can see the demigods are there. And as we come lower, we can see Indra on the Airavat, right? We can see Ganesha, and we can see the horse, I forgot the name, right? So we can see many demigods on the topmost branches. And below, we can see the human beings or deer, tiger, animals, all we can see as we go down, right? All see reptiles, dog, right? We can see all. That's what they're saying. Okay. So here, see, this is the original tree, Krishna, that tree that is there, and this is the reflection. And the topmost root is Brahma, Brahmaloka. Okay, the same thing is being said here. Okay, so everything is being said. So next, let's go to 3, 4. Narupam asahyeha ततोपलभ्यते नान्तो न चादिर्न च सम्प्रतिष्ठा अश्वत्थम् एनं सुविरूढ मूलम् असङ्गशस्त्रेण सशस्त्रेण दृढेन चित्वा ततः पदं तत् परमार्जितव्यम् यस्मिन् गता न निवर्तन्ति भूयः तम् एव चाद्यं पुरुषं प्रपद्ये यतः प्रवृत्तिः प्रसृता पुराणी. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. The translation, the real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this tree with the weapon of detachment. So doing, one must seek that place from which, having once gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything has begun and in whom everything is abiding since time immemorial. Sorry. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So we can see, right? They're asking you cut that tree. Okay, cut that tree means what? You get free from all those material desires like attachments to family members or whatever material desires you have. So that is why, because you had material desires, you are taking new bodies, and then that's why you're getting new senses and sense objects, right? So the real form of this banyan tree cannot be understood in this material world. Why we can't understand? Because actual tree exists in the spiritual world. The material tree that we are seeing is just a reflection. The root of the reflected tree is upwards, and the extension of the real tree is at the other end. Entangled within the material expansions of the tree, the extent of the tree cannot be seen. Obviously, in the reflection, we cannot touch, we can only see. Okay, and in the reflection also, we cannot see the whole tree, right? Right, we can't see. So the extent of the tree cannot be seen. The full tree cannot be seen. So the origin of the tree also cannot be located. So we can't see where exactly. We can't, because we can't touch it, right? It's just reflection. However, The cause has to be traced. So, but we know why the tree is there. We know that. So it's like how, see the analogy, like how we know that I am the son of my father, and my father is the son of his father. Like so on, we know our ancestors, right? Like right. So like that, such a research reaches one to Brahma. So like that, we are like living entities. We have come from Brahma. So he is our father. From Brahma, where did Brahma come from? Brahma came from Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, and Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu is an expansion of Krishna. So finally, the search ends in Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, right? So this is achieved only, so we understand this matter only by the association of persons who know the Supreme Lord. On acquiring this knowledge, one becomes gradually detached from this false reflection of reality. So when we understand that Krishna is our Supreme Father, then we understand, then we try to get detached from this false reflection of reality, situating himself in the real tree. So our real house is there, that the real tree is there in the spiritual world. This is just a reflection. The word Asanga Shastrena, weapon of detachment, is very significant as the attachment for sense enjoyment and lording over the material nature is very strong. So that's why we are here, right? We have that strong intensity that I should be the master, I should be the enjoyer. That's why we all are here. After being enlightened in the association of devotees, one must first surrender to the Lord. Once one succeeds reaching to the supreme abode, one never returns to this false reflected tree. The supreme Lord Krishna is the original root from whom everything has emanated, right? He is the starting point. Right from Krishna, the three expansions have come. Mahavishnu, Garbhodakasai Vishnu, Sri Radha Vishnu. And from Garbhodakasai Vishnu, Brahma has come. From Brahma, all of us have come. Okay. So Lord has says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava. I'm the origin of everything. Devotional service has to be done through Navavida Bhakti. Therefore, to get out of this entanglement of the strong banyan tree of material life, one must surrender to Krishna. There is no other way. Right? We must surrender to Krishna and practice devotional service. As soon as one surrenders unto Krishna, one becomes detached automatically from this material extension. Because we got that knowledge now, we understood. We are actually not meant to be here. That is our real home, and He is our real Father. So that's why we try to cut the weapon of detachment. Okay, the same thing is being said here. Okay. So we should cut, that's what they're showing in the PPT. We should cut that a tree. Okay, 15.5. Nirmanamoha jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha dvandver vimuktaha sukha dukkha samgner gachanti amudaha padam avyayam tat. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Translation 15.5. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the duties of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that external kingdom. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, this verse describes the process of surrendering. See, right? We surrender. Firstly, one should not be deluded by pride. When the conditioned soul thinks he, not the Lord, is the Lord of the material nature, surrender to the Lord becomes difficult. See, we cannot surrender when we think we are great. I am the master, I am the enjoyer. We never bow down to anybody. We can't surrender, it's very difficult. Right? Only when we understand that knowledge that Krishna is giving, we understand that we are not the body, we are the soul, And this Swarupa of the soul is to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to worship the Super Soul. Okay? Until that's why they're saying if you don't know that, surrender to the Lord becomes difficult. So cultivation of real knowledge makes him cognizant that the Supreme Person is the Lord. So you should understand that he is not the master. Krishna is the master, ultimate master. The process of surrender begins here. One always expecting some honor in this material world cannot surrender to the Supreme, obviously, right? We can't surrender when we think we are great. So pride is due to illusion, as although one comes here, stays for a brief time, and then goes away. He has the foolish notion that he's the Lord of the world. So in this temporary base, he just stays for some time. He just comes and goes, and in that he thinks that he is the master, he is the doer, he is everything, he's the Lord of the world. So they're saying because he is so foolish. So it's all because of the pride. Maya puts us in that illusion that you are great, you are everything. So, detaching from these, one has to develop spiritual knowledge. The mundaner should differentiate what is his own and what is not his. This rids him of dualities of like happiness and distress, pleasure and pain. Once in full knowledge, he is able to surrender himself to the Supreme Lord. Okay, see, such a person who will surrender to the Supreme Person, one who is nirmana. Nirmana, nirmana, that's what. So, nirmana means one who is free from false prestige or pride. Moha, who is free from illusion. Jita sanga dosha, freedom from false association, like away from material people and all atheists and everybody. Ad, Adhyatma Nityam, understand the eternal. Okay, who is the Nitya means who is understand that we are eternal. Okay, and Dvandver Vimuktaha, they are freed from dualities like happiness, sadness, light, dark, like that. And Vinivritta Kamaha, so they are done with material lust and they are unbewildered. Okay, such persons can surrender to the Supreme Person. न तद्भासयते सूर्यो न शशाङ्को न पावकः यत्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम. Hare Krishna Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Translation 15.6, that abode of mind is not limited by the sun or moon, nor by electricity. One who reaches it never returns to this material world. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so this is the material world. See how they are showing how the spiritual world is and the material world is dark, right? We are in that black portion we are. So but when we do when we surrender and we practice devotional service, we enter into the spiritual world. Okay, so this verse describes the spiritual world. So this is how Goloka Vrindavan is. It is in the shape of a lotus flower, and in the center we can see the Krishna and Radharani are there, right? So from there outside you are seeing, right, outside the petal are the Vaikuntha Lokas, right? So, this verse describes a spiritual world, the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, known as Krishna Loka or Goloka Vrindavan. In the spiritual sky, there is no need of sunshine, moonshine, fire, or electricity because all the planets are self luminous. Right? In the spiritual world, it is fully bright, dazzling. I mean, like how in this material world, the sun provides the light, right, for us. Like that, they are self-effulgent. Like they don't need sunshine, they don't need a sun or a moon or fire. Not required. They are self-luminous. All the planets are self-luminous, right? We have only one planet in this universe, the sun, which is self luminous, but all the planets in the spiritual sky are self luminous. The shining effulgence of all these planets, called Vaikunthas, constitutes the shining sky known as Brahmajyoti. So, where do all these planets get the lighting effulgence from? It is the main source is Krishna, bodily effulgence of Krishna. So from the Brahmajyoti, they are getting even the light in the Vaikuntha planets is from Krishna's body. Actually, the effulgence is emanating from the planet of Krishna, Goloka Vrindavan. So part of that shining effulgence is covered by the Mahatattva, the material world. But this lighting that is coming, Krishna's effulgence that is coming from the body, it cannot enter into the material world. It is blocked. The whole material universe is in this portion called Mahatattva. Okay, that Mahatattva is completely dark. It blocks. Like how we see, right? In a prison, it is dark. Though outside the whole material world, the sun, everything is there. How the prison appears, it is, at least we've seen in the movies, right? It is very dark. There is no light, nothing. They are put in a dungeon and it's very dark. So, like that, this material world, that light cannot pass. It is stopped. It is blocked. So that's why this material world is dark. It needs external sources so that it can light up. The major portion of the shining sky is full of spiritual planets called Vaikunthas, chief of which is Goloka Vrindavan. As long as the living entity is in this dark material world, he is in conditional life. As soon as he reaches the spiritual sky by cutting through the false perverted tree of this material world, he becomes liberated with no chance of his coming back here. Okay? In the conditional life, the living entity tends to lord over the material world. On entering the spiritual kingdom after liberation, he becomes an associate of the Supreme Lord, enjoying eternal bliss, eternal life, and full of knowledge. Satchit Ananda. So one should desire to transfer himself to the eternal world. For one too much attached to this material world, detachment becomes difficult. Only Krishna consciousness and association with Krishna consciousness devotees can help him. So, satsanga is very, very important. The moment you are away from satsanga, Maya takes takes us under her control. So we should always, how elevated or how senior you may be, we should never think, oh, now I'm senior, 30 years, 40 years has passed in Krishna consciousness. I know everything, I can take care. Maya cannot do nothing. No, we should not be like that. Maya is very, it's very difficult for us to overcome Maya. Krishna himself says, right, in the Bhagavad Gita, very difficult. So we should always be in the association of devotees. Just a saffron attire is not sufficient. You must become attached to the Lord in devotion. So here they're saying this, many yogis, they just wear the saffron robes, but and they pretend to be a yogi or a sannyasi. They're saying no, not just wearing outside, just wearing the robes. He must inside also. He must be attached to the Lord in devotion. He must do devotional service. Paramam Mama means every nook and corner belongs to Supreme Lord. The spiritual world is Paramam, means the highest. Paramam means the highest, full of six opulences. The Katha Upanishad also confirms that in the spiritual world there is no need of sunshine, moonshine, or stars. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam. The entire spiritual sky is illuminated by the internal potency of the Supreme Lord. So, basically, the spiritual planet is totally in light because of the effulgence that is coming from the body of Krishna. It does not require external instruments for light, like in this material world. Such a supreme abode can be attained only by surrender and no other means. Okay. 15.7 Mamaivaamsho jivaloke jivabhuta sanatanaha manah shashtanindriyani prakriti stani karshati. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Translation 15.7. The living entities in this conditioned world are my external fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So here they're saying this verse gives the identity of a living being. The living entity is a fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord eternally. So initially he was like a soul. He lived in the spiritual world where it is eternal. It is not that he assumes individuality in his conditional life and in his liberated states becomes one with the Supreme Lord. So he is eternally fragmented. It is clearly said Sanatanaha. Okay. So it's not that before liberation we are individual and like the Gnani say, right? After liberation they become one with God and merge into the impersonal Brahman and become one with God. No. He still maintains his individuality after liberation also. Okay, it doesn't become one with the Supreme Lord. So that is what they're saying. He's eternally fragmented. See, always he's individual. So it is clearly said Sanatanaha. So he is always an individual. According to the Vedic version, the Supreme Lord manifests and expands himself in innumerable expansions. So we know, right, the many expansions of Krishna, of which the primary expansions are called Vishnu Tattva. We said, right? Primary expansions are the Vishnu Tattva, and they come on all the Vishnus. And the secondary expansions are called the living entities. So the Vishnu Tattva is the personal expansion, and the living entities are the separated expansions. By his personal expansion, he is manifested in various forms like Lord Rama, Nrsimhadev, Vishnumurti, and all the predominating deities in the Vaikuntha planets. The separated expansions, the living entities, are eternally servitors. So, his personal expansions, we can worship him as Krishna himself, but the separated expansions, the living entities, they are eternally servitors of eternal servitors. The personal expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the individual identities of the Godhead, they are always present, right? The Krishna and his expansions and the souls are always eternally present in the spiritual world. They are there forever. The separated expansions of the living entities have their identities. As fragmental parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, the living entities also have fragmental portions of his qualities, of which independence is one. So, earlier we've discussed in many of the slokas that the soul is similar in quality to Krishna. It has all the qualities that Krishna has, but quantity varies. He is a Vibhu, we are Anu. So that is the difference. So here they're saying we have all the qualities of Krishna. What is one of that? Which is independence. We want it to be independent, right? So, but Krishna, he gave us that independence here. But we misuse that independence, right? We said that we don't want to worship Krishna, we want to enjoy separately from Krishna. So that's why we misuse that independence. By misuse of that independence, one becomes a conditioned soul. See, that's why, because he didn't want to be with Krishna and serve Krishna, he came separate. He misused that independence. That's why he was put here in this material world. He became a conditioned soul, right? Condition means he's governed. Now he's not spirit. He's like conditioned by the three modes. He has to act because he takes a body. He takes a material body. The soul takes a material body. And he's conditioned by the three modes. So that's why he becomes a conditioned soul, dominated by the modes. And by proper use of independence, he's always liberated. But if he uses the independence to do devotional service, then obviously he is always liberated. In either case, he is qualitatively eternal, as the Supreme Lord is. Right? In either case, he's the soul. He's not the body or anything, right? He's the soul. So both are eternal. the Supreme Lord and the soul. In his liberated state, he is freed from this material condition and he is under the engagement of transcendental service of the Lord. Forgets the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So when he forgets Krishna, what happens? The living entities, not only human beings and the cats and dogs, but even greater controllers of the material world, Brahma, Lord Shiva, even Vishnu, are all parts and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So all the living entities, just not human beings, animals, or cats and dogs, but even the demigods, the greater controllers of the material world, even Brahma, Lord Shiva, even Vishnu, are all parts and parcel of the Supreme Lord. They are all eternal, not temporary manifestations. Right? They're all soul. Everybody is eternal. The word karshati, struggling or grappling hard, is very significant. The conditioned soul is bound up as though shackled by iron chains. So he's tied up by these three modes of material nature. He's bound in this material world. So he is bound up by the false ego, and the mind is the chief agent which is driving him in this material existence. And because of this false ego, what is the false ego? He thinks I'm the enjoyer, I'm the controller, I'm the master, and everybody should listen to what I say. And everything in this material world is for my sense gratification, right? So when the mind is in the mode of goodness, his activities are good. When the mind is in the mode of passion, his activities are troublesome. And when the mind is in the mode of ignorance, he travels in the lower species of life. The conditioned soul is covered by the material body with the mind. Okay, so that soul is, when he comes to his material world, he accepts a body which with the mind and senses, and when he is liberated, this material covering perishes. When he does Krishna consciousness, this material covering goes away. This material body, like we know, right? We burn it or whatever, right? When he gets liberated, what happens? He loses this material body and he gets a spiritual body. So, but his spiritual body manifests itself in its individual capacity by the grace of the Lord. So, he is individual. He gets an individual, separate spiritual body. That we have to understand. We should not think that we merge and become one with God. The revived spiritual body can see that in that spiritual body, the soul can see the Supreme Personality of God at face to face. He can hear and speak to him face to face, and he can understand the Supreme Personality as he is. From Smriti also it is understood, Vasanti Yatra Purushaha Sarve Vaikunta Murtayaha. In the spiritual planets, everyone lives in bodies featured like the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we saw, right, in Vaikuntha Loka, they all are like four-handed forms. We see the living entities, right? They look like Narayana himself with four hands. They look similar. As far as bodily construction is concerned, there is no difference between the part and parcel living entities and the expansions of Vishnu Murti. So we saw, right, they have four hands like the Vishnu or Narayana, and even the living entities also, they have four hands. So bodily wise, in Vaikuntha planets, no changes there. The word Mamai Vamshaha, Mamai means Amsha, means fragmental parts and parcels of Supreme Lord are very significant. The fragmental portion of the Supreme Lord is not like some material broken part. The spirit cannot be cut into pieces. So we should not think that the Supreme Lord, what the fragmental portion of the Supreme Lord is not like some material broken parts. So you should not think that the Supreme Lord, he has cut himself into parts and he has entered into living entities. We should understand that that is eternal, right? The fragmental portion, we are souls, right? So that fragmental portion is eternal, Sanatana. So each and every individual body possesses the fragmental portion of the Supreme Lord. So the fragmental portion is that soul, right? So they are separate, and that means they're not cut. They are eternal. They maintain their individuality. That fragmental portion, which is liberated from the bodily entanglement, revives its original spiritual body in the spiritual sky in a spiritual planet and enjoys association with the Supreme Lord. It is, however, understood here that the living entity, being the fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, is qualitatively one, just as the parts and parcel of gold are also gold, right? So we said, right, though soul is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, we should never think that okay, just because we are part and parcel of Krishna, we and Krishna are same. The soul and super soul is same. We should not understand. The only thing is we are qualitatively, we have all the qualities of Krishna, but quantity wise we are different. That's what they're trying to say here. The same thing we explained here. So 15.8. शरीरं यद् अवाप्नोति यत् चापि और यत् चापि उत्क्रामतीश्वरः उत्क्रामा उत्क्रामातीश्वरः गृहीत्वैतानि संयाति वायुर्गन्धान् इवाशयात्. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Mataji, thank you. Hare Krishna. Translation: the living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another as the air carries aromas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So here, the living entity is described as Ishvara, the controller of his own body. If he likes, he can change his body to a higher grade. And if he likes, he can move to a lower class. So that minute independence is there. He has that independence, right? He can either go to heavenly planets or he can go to lower planets like this thing, hellish planets. This change his body undergoes depends on him totally. At the time of death, the consciousness he has created will carry him onto the next type of body. If he has made his consciousness like that of a cat or a dog, he is sure to change to a cat's or a dog's body. And if he has fixed his consciousness on godly qualities, he will change into the form of a demigod. And if he is in Krishna consciousness, he will be transferred to Krishna Loka in the spiritual world and will associate with Krishna. It is a false claim that after the annihilation of this body, everything is finished. Many people think that after this body, everything is over, nothing is there. That's why enjoy, do sense gratification, do something, even if you don't have money, beg, borrow, steal. This is the end of, you have only this life to enjoy. After this, nothing is there. That's what they think. But that is a false claim. Everything will be finished. No. The individual soul is transmigrating from one body to another. The soul takes different bodies, and his present body and present activities are the background for his next body. Okay, whatever activities that he does in this janma with that particular body, he becomes the reason for his next body. He becomes the reason for the soul to take the next body. One gets a different body according to karma, and he has to quit this body in due course. It is stated here that the subtle body, which carries the conception of the next body, develops another body in the next life. This process of transmigrating from one body to another and struggling while in the body is called karshati, or struggle for existence. See, in each body, he definitely has to undergo some pain. Definitely. Because whoever comes to this earthly planet, both happiness and miseries are there. And in fact, more than happiness, mostly miseries. Because Krishna himself says that it is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Right? So he has to karshati, that struggle for existence will be there in whichever body he comes. Okay. So here they're saying, as the analogy, they're saying as the air, it carries aroma. See, if the air is passing a rose garden, we naturally get the smell of roses. But if the air is passing through a garbage dump, we get that smell automatically. So, like that, the living entity, he acquires a material mind and carries different conceptions of life from one body to the other. It's all his consciousness. Depending on that consciousness, the soul takes a particular type of body. Like how air, when it passes through rose garden, we get that smell like that. So 15.9. Shrotram chakshuhu sparshanam cha rasanam granam evacha adhisthaya manaschayam vishayan upasevate. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji, thank you. Hare Krishna. Translation: the living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, tongue, and nose and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So here you see the living entity, when he takes a particular body, he has a particular type of senses. That's what they're saying. Yeah, they're saying granam. Granam means what? That sense object name is nose. Shrotam. Shrotram means ear. Chakshuhu means eye. Right? And sparshanam, sense of touch. Rasanam, tongue. See, it's only if we have the sense objects can we know, can we hear, can we see, can we touch, can we taste, can we smell. See, because see, everybody has eyes to see. External eyes are there for everybody. But we should not think because of the external eyes we are seeing. It is the, because see, even a blind person has eyes. Externally to see, he has eyes. But what is that that is making him see from inside? It is the chakshu, the sense object, right? The sense object is the thing that is making them see. So that is important. See, some people they can't. They have big nose, big ears. They have, but they can't hear. They can't smell certain things, right? So externally everything will be there, but that sense object, that granam, that shrotam, that rasanam, some people have tongue, but those taste buds they can't feel any taste. So that sense object called rasanam should be there. And some people, they can't, they don't feel touch, sparshanam, that sense object should be there. They can't. So like that, they're saying when we take each body, we get each a pair of all these things, and we are forced to act like that in that body. Like for example, if the pig is there, pig is forced to eat stool. His sense objects are determined like that by the three modes. It is forced to eat like that, because and if you give it halwa, it won't eat. It's least bother. It's not at all interested. Means his set of sense objects and senses are fixed to do that. It is written that they have to eat that. Per the three modes, they're governed like that. Right? That's what they're saying here. So if the living entity adulterates his consciousness with the qualities of cats and dogs, in his next life he will get the body of a cat or a dog, and then he enjoys in that body. Consciousness is originally pure like water. So initially we are pure souls initially. But what happens if we mix with water? It attains that color, right? So similarly, initially our consciousness is pure. For the spirit soul is pure. It is pure. But consciousness is changed according to the association of material qualities. It depends on the body that we are taking. And then we are governed by these three modes once we are in this material nature. So soul has no control over the body. For our consciousness and desires, we get a certain type of body. The soul gets a different type of body. So because of that body, and that body is being controlled by the three modes, right? The soul has no control over it. Right? Real consciousness is Krishna consciousness. In this state, one is in his pure life. When adulterated, he does not necessarily get a human body again. He can get a body of a cat, dog, hog, demigod, or one of many other forms. For there are 84 lakh species. Okay. So next 10th shloka. Utkramantam stitam vapi bunjanam va gunanvitam vimudha nanupashyanti pashyanti gnana chakshushaha. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Madaji, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Madaji. The translation: the foolish cannot understand how a living entity can fit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. See, in the PPT, they're giving an example of a mechanic repairing a car. See, ordinary people, I mean, like if a person's car is spoiled, he will not be able to repair the car. He does not know anything, right? But the if we call a car mechanic, he will just do it within few seconds because he's trained in that knowledge. He knows what exactly if he sees, he will understand in few seconds what the problem is and he will fix it immediately. But a normal people a person, he does not know, he has no knowledge of the car or anything, right? So that's the difference between a trained person and an untrained person. So that's what they're trying to say here. A trained person can see that there is a soul and the soul is taking different bodies. But a normal person, he will think that, oh, I'm this body, who does not have that knowledge. He will think, I'm this body, and after this body, everything is over. That's what they think, right? But a trained person who knows that knowledge, who is trained in that knowledge, he understands, I'm the soul. And the soul takes different bodies depending on our desires. Okay, we can stop this, right, by practicing devotional service. See, the word Gnana Chakshusha is very important. Without knowledge, one cannot understand how a living entity leaves his present body, nor what form of body he is going to take in the next life, nor even why he is living in a particular type of body. But who can understand? Those who have developed spiritual knowledge, however, can see that the spirit is different from the body, means the soul is different from the body, and is changing its body and enjoying in different ways. Right? A person in such knowledge can understand. Like how a mechanic is trained, he can understand. Like that, the soul also, that person can understand. I'm a soul, and depending on my desires, I take different bodies. Okay, that's why the conditioned living entity is suffering in this material existence. So people need this knowledge as their conditional life is very much troublesome. So everybody is struggling here. That's why everybody needs this knowledge. They should become Krishna conscious and liberate themselves to transfer to the spiritual world. So that's why if you see these ISKCON devotees, that's why they're preaching. Because the common man, he does not understand this knowledge. He thinks this is the end of life. That is why let us fully do enjoy to our fullest. And they think that's why they do all even what impure activities. They cheat, by rob, and however, but they should do sense gratification. But a true person, like a mechanic, right? For instance, we are just comparing. A true person who gets that true knowledge understands that he's the soul and that he takes different bodies per his desires. So 11. Yatanto yoginaschainam पश्यन्ति आत्मनि अवस्थितं यतन्तोपि अकृतात्मानो नैनं पश्यन्ति अचेतसः. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna. The translation: the endeavoring transcendentalist who is situated in self realization can see all this clearly. But those who are not situated in self realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try to. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So that's what they're saying. So those who are have that spiritual knowledge, they can understand they are not the not the body, they are the soul. and the soul takes different bodies, so they can understand because they're in that knowledge, they have that knowledge. But common people, they don't have that knowledge. That's why they think this is the end. This is with this body, everything is over. So let's enjoy to the fullest, life to the fullest, and they commit all abominable activities for which karma is there. That's why they take different bodies again. The transcendentalist on the path of spiritual self-realization, but yet to attain self-realization cannot see how things are changing in the body of the living entity. Okay, they can see, the transcendentalists can see, who are on the path of self-realization can see, but others who have no self-realization cannot see. Yatantopi akritatmanaha, endeavoring in a so-called yoga system and gymnastic exercises are not self-realized. So all these Ashtanga yogis and mm, they can't. They do all different kinds of exercises. They fall path yoga system, right? They do all different types of. We've seen in chapter 6, gymnastic exercise. So such people are not self-realized. So they can't understand the process of transmigration of the soul from one body to another. Only those who are in Bhakti Yoga realize the self, the world, and the Supreme Lord. They can understand how things are taking place, including transmigration of the soul. Okay, so that's what they're saying. Result. See, those not trained in knowledge are in ignorance. So, what is the cure for them? Krishna says knowledge. So obviously for everybody, they need to get that knowledge. Everybody is in ignorance. Only that knowledge, when you get knowledge, do you come into, or do you understand? So those who are trained can see all this clearly because their minds are clarified by yoga practice, right? Because they do devotional service, they get that knowledge, they understand. But those whose minds are not developed, they don't. Those who don't have that knowledge are not who are not situated in self-realization. They can't see what is happening. So who can see? Bhakti yogas are the actual yogis, have realized self, world, and the Supreme Lord. They can see things as they are. Yad aditya gatam tejo jagad bhasayate akhilam yat चंद्रमसि यत् चाग्नौ tat tejo viddhi मामकम. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. Translation: the splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So, Krishna is saying, Krishna is the maintainer of the material world. He's saying, I'm the splendor of the moon, electricity, fire, the sun. Okay. So, what is the benefit of such a conception of life as given? So, why should we know this? Krishna is the source of everything. So, it is important to understand that the splendor of the sun, moon, electricity, or fire come from the Lord. This is the beginning of Krishna consciousness. In such a conception, the conditioned soul is considered as advancing in knowledge in the material world. As the living entities are essentially parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, they are herein hinted by the Lord how to go back home to back to Godhead. So he's telling the sun illuminates the entire solar system. The different universes existing have different solar systems with different suns, moons, and planets. Right? So we saw right from Mahavishnu, many universes come, and into each universe, Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu ends. And in each universe, there is one sun only. Okay, one moon, right, and different set of planets like that. So only one sun can illuminate the entire solar system, universe. So each universe has only one sun. Bhagavad Gita, it said the moon is one of the stars. We think moon is a planet, right? We say moon planet and sun planet, but here they're saying moon is one of the stars. It's not a planet. Nakshatranam aham shashi. Right? So sunlight is due to the spiritual effulgence in the spiritual sky of the Supreme Lord. So where does the sun in the material world get its effulgence, that sunshine, light from? It comes from Krishna in the spiritual world. So it takes that effulgence, the sun takes the effulgence from there in the spiritual world, and the same light is being given here. So, with the rising of the sun, the activities of the human beings start. So, fire, they're talking about fire. Fire is set up to prepare the foodstuff, start the factories, etc. Fire helps in many ways. So, sunrise, fire, and moonlight are so pleasing to the living entities because without their help, no living entity can live. See, these three are a must for us, right? Without these, we can't live here in this material world. So moonshine, it nourishes all the vegetables. The pleasing moonshine is a mercy of the Lord. Okay, when the moon falls on all these vegetables and fruits, that juice is being produced because of that moonshine. Okay, and normally also if we see the moon, it is so pleasing for us, right? That moonshine is very pleasing to us. So 15.13. गाम् आविश्य च भूतानि धारयामि अहम् ओजसा पुष्णामि च औषधीः सर्वाः सोमो भूत्वा रसात्मकः. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Nagaji, thank you. Hare Krishna translation. I enter into each planet and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So here, if you can see the picture, all the orbits, like how the sun is rotating by itself, and how it is like rotating. I mean, how all the other planets are rotating in orbit, are in a particular fashion. They are not jumping here and there. They are not going. They are staying in a fixed orbit. Who is controlling all that? So Krishna is saying, I enter into each planet, and by my energy, they're all under. Okay. So Krishna is holding all of them in that orbit. So he is in control. That's why all the orbit, all the planets are rotating in a particular fashion, right? And they're saying the moon gives the juice of life to all vegetables. Okay, the same thing. Okay, all the planets are floating in the air only by the energy of Krishna. See, he is supporting because he's holding them. All the planets are staying in orbit, the whole planet. So the Lord enters into every atom, planet, and living being as Paramatma, his plenary portion. That is discussed in Brahma Samhita. So, due to his entrance, everything is appropriately manifested. So, when the spirit soul is there, a living man can float on water. So, what does this mean? See, when the living spark is out of the body and the body is dead, it sinks. See, initially, when a body is dead, it sinks into water. But of course, I mean, like as it goes inside the water, it drinks all the water and the body becomes puffed up. See, and that's why in decomposing, it floats and it comes up. But initially, as the man is dead, he sinks into water. Okay, so similarly, all planets like that, they float in space. So as long as the soul is there, it is being said that they sink, right? But when decomposing, it again floats. So like that, even the planets, they float in space due to entrance of the supreme energy of the supreme, because Krishna is there as the three Vishnus, right? Similarly, all planets float in space due to the entrance of the supreme energy of the supreme. This energy is sustaining each planet just like a handful of dust and soil. See, for example, if you hold a handful of dust or soil in your hand, there is no possibility of the sand falling from your hand. But the moment you open your palm, your fist you open, everything, all the sand particles will fall down. Right? So, like that, the floating planets are actually held in the fist of the universal form of the Lord. So, Krishna is holding all the planets together with his fist tightly. So, his strength and energy make all moving and non moving things stay in their place. It is due to the Supreme Personality of Godhead that the moon nourishes all the vegetables, making them delicious. So, it is because of Krishna, through the moon, he's giving all the juice to the vegetables and fruits and making them delicious. So, without moonshine, the vegetables can neither grow nor taste succulent. The very survival of human society is due to the abundant mercy of the Lord. So, in one way, we should understand that everything is sustained by the Lord. He maintains everything, every living entity, everything is under His control. And next, Rasatmakaha means everything becomes palatable by the influence of the moon, an agent of Krishna. Right? So, let's go to the next sloka. अहं वैश्वानरो भूत्वा प्राणिनां देहमाश्रितः प्राणापान समायुक्तः पचामि अन्नं चतुर्विधम्. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji, thank you. Hare Krishna. Translation. I am the fire of digestion in every living body, and I am the air of life, outgoing and incoming, by which I digest the four kinds of foodstuff. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So here we can see the PPT, right? He is the fire. We generally see, right, in old age our digestion decreases, and when we are young and active our digestion is fast. So all this is controlled by Krishna. If we that fire is there, the particles get dissolved, right? See, whatever we eat, how is it broken into small parts? Because of that fire, right? That fire is nothing but Krishna here. Okay, so according to Ayurveda, there is a fire in the stomach that digests all food, and we call it Jataragni. When the fire is improper, it has to be treated. So that's why they say, right, if there's not proper digestion, there is acidity, there is bloating, they say, right? So that's why we have to go to the doctor to get it treated. So this fire, to get that fire back to normal, we have to go to the doctor. So this fire is a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vedic mantras, Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad also confirms that the Supreme Lord of Brahman is situated in the form of fire within the stomach, digesting all kinds of foodstuffs. I am Agnir Vaishwanaro Yo, I am Antah Purushe Yenedam Annam Pachyate. So he's saying, I digest everything by because of the fire, the annam that you, whatever you're eating. Since the eating process is controlled by the Lord, living entity is not independent in this also, right? So we should not think that, okay, I will eat whatever comes to my mind. That's why we can't eat. At a certain point, Krishna is in control of the fire. So it's up to him, right? Like how much fire he has to give and everything. So enjoying different foods, that's why is also grace of the Lord. So what we have to eat, that's why when we come to old age, we try to reduce junk, and we try to eat less because we know our fire reduces that time. But when we are young or like children, our fire is fully active, right? So that is also under control of Krishna. So that's why we can't enjoy in old age, and in when we are young, we can enjoy. I mean, we can have different kinds. So enjoying different foods is also grace of the Lord. There are four kinds of foodstuffs, and that's why we see, right, some people they get sugar, they're not able to eat some objects, some food items. So that's all because of the grace of Krishna. So there are four kinds of foodstuff. Some are drunk, some are chewed, some are licked up, and some are sucked. And he is the digestive force for all of them. So we've seen four kinds, and he is the digestive force. सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो Mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha Veda isya sarver ahameva vedyo Vedanta krit vedavid eva shaham. You can memorize this shloka, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Actually, I forgot to tell you others. There are many important shlokas also. So this you can memorize. Mataji, can you please read the translation,
Yes,
please?
Mataji, thank you. Translation, Hare Krishna. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas am I to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Mataji,
Mataji. So here,
excuse me,
sorry,
Mataji.
Mataji. Huh?
Navadi, just a minute, I'll just go and see somebody came in the frame
Yeah,
door.
yeah.
No, please.
Sure,
Sorry,
sure.
sorry,
Please.
Mahesh. Excuse me.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Mahesh. Sorry.
No, no, no problem, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Mahesh. Yes.
Yeah. So thus the Lord is not only pervading, he is also localized in every individual heart. So he is there as super soul in every heart, living entity's heart. So all activities are initiated from him. So the living entity forgets everything of his past life. He has to act according to the direction of the Supreme Lord, who is the witness to all his work. Therefore, he begins his work according to his past deeds. Lord Krishna graces him with the required knowledge and the memory as he does not remember anything about his past life. See, after we die and the soul comes to a new body, right? We forget everything. We don't know what we were in our previous Janma. But Krishna, he gives us the remembrance as Paramatma. That's why he's there in every body, right? He's there and he remembers. He reminds us, see, this is where you stopped in your previous Janma. Now you're supposed to do this. Now you continue. So he gives us the remembrance. So now you start this is what you do. So he is worshipable as the impersonal Brahman, the supreme personality of Godhead, localized Paramatma, and also as a form of the incarnation of the Vedas as well. Okay, so these are the different forms of Krishna, of the Lord. The Vedas are also a form of Krishna, right? Vedavyasa who wrote the Vedas, right? He's an incarnation. So the Vedas are also an incarnation of Krishna. The Vedas give the right direction to people so that they can properly mold their lives and come back to God. Back to whom? The Vedas offer knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. So Krishna in his incarnation as Vyasadeva is the compiler of the Vedanta Sutra. Antaha Pravishtaha Shasta Jananam. The living entity forgets as soon as he puts his present body, but he begins his work again initiated by Supreme Lord. So as Paramatma, he reminds, see, this is what your desire was. This is where you stop. Now you start again. Okay. Although he forgets, the soul forgets. The Lord gives him the intelligence to renew his work from where he ended in his last life and suffer or enjoy in this world. He also gets an opportunity to understand the Vedas from him if he's serious. Like by Krishna's mercy, all of us have got that opportunity, right? To understand the Vedas from him if he is. And that's why we are able to, whatever by Krishna's mercy, we have started that process of devotional service because of that knowledge. The knowledge of the Vedas is given to the living entity to understand Krishna. Yo asau sarver veder giyate. In all Vedic literature, beginning from the four Vedas, Vedanta Sutra, and the Upanishads and Puranas, the glories of the Supreme Lord are celebrated. The Lord is attainable by the performance of Vedic rituals, discussing Vedic philosophy, and by worship of the Lord in devotional service. Vedanta Sutra confirms this in the following words: Tattu Samanvayat. One can attain perfection in three stages. The purpose of the Vedas is to understand Krishna. Understanding Vedic literature, one can understand his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Performing the different processes, one can approach him. Through devotional service, one can attain the supreme goal, that is the Supreme Lord. So they're saying three stages are there where you can attain Krishna. That is like the impersonal Brahman, Paramatma, or Krishna. But the highest goal should be to approach to go to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is by devotional service, bhakti. Dvau imau purushau loke shakshara evacha ksharaha sarvani bhutani kutasto akshara uchyate. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna translation. There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So here, two classes of being are said. So the people who are staying, the living entities who are in this world, material world, are called fallible. Why fallible? Because the soul, because that they fall down, right? Fallible means they fall down. Why? Because there are so many material desires. They take different bodies. The soul takes different bodies, right? So they fall down, and obviously the soul has to take another body. Again, they fall down, they has to take another body. But in the spiritual world, they don't fall down, right? They are infallible, because once we reach the spiritual planet, we don't there where their birth, death, old age, disease is not there, right? So that's why they are infallible. That's what is being said here. Okay, according to the Vedanta Sutra compiled by the Lord's incarnation as Vyasadeva, what is he saying? The innumerable living entities can be divided into the fallible and infallible. The living entities are eternally separated parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? So when they are in contact with material nature, they are called Jiva Bhuta. Ksharaha Sarvani Bhutani. Bhutani means living entities. Mean they are Ksharaha means they are fallible, they fall down. Those in oneness with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, are called infallible. So those who are with the Supreme Lord in the spiritual planet, they are infallible, obviously. They overcome birth, death, everything, right? So oneness here does not mean they have no individualities. We said, right, the above line, those in oneness with the Supreme Personality. So they mean it's not merging, they're saying. It means they're saying in quality, right? but there is no disunity. They have their, they are, does not mean they have no individuality, but there is no disunity. So they all agree that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as stated in the Vedanta Sutra, is the source of all emanations. So the oneness means they understand that Supreme, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the source, is the cause of all causes. From him, everything comes. The conditioned living entities who are struggling in this world with the mind and five senses have their material bodies which are changing, right? So, because each body has different senses, so they are keep on changing because of our desires. So, in the spiritual world, the body is not made of matter. Therefore, there is no change. It is eternal. There will be no change to the soul in the spiritual world. But in the material world, the living entity undergoes, because in the living, the soul takes a body, material body. So it obviously has to undergo changes, six changes. What are they? Birth, growth, duration, reproduction, then dwindling and vanishing. So, in the spiritual world, the body does not change. There is no old age, no birth, death. There all exists in oneness. Sharaha Sarvani Bhutani. In oneness means they have the same qualities, right? They are Satchit Ananda like Krishna. So that oneness they are saying, not merging and becoming one with Krishna. So they are in unity, like they are like Krishna is eternal, soul is also eternal over there. Like they are full of knowledge, the soul is also full of knowledge. I mean, in the sense, like, but the variation is there in quantity that we have to understand. But qualities they have, Satchitananda, but the quantity will vary. Krishna is 100% Satchitananda. Maybe the soul, depending on how much they are Satchitananda, 1%, 2%, we don't know, right? Ksharaha Sarvani Bhutani, any living entity who has come in contact with matter, beginning from the first created being, Brahma, to down to the small ant, is changing its body. Therefore, they are fallible, right? Because they change bodies, they're fallible, they fall down. In the spiritual world, however, they're always liberated and in oneness, right? So they also have the same qualities as God, right? In the spiritual world, also they have the same bodies like Krishna, right? So it's 17. Uttamaha purushastu anyaha paramatmeti udahritah yo lokatrayam avishya vibharti avyaya ishvaraha. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji, thank you. Hare Krishna. Translation. Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. According to Katha Upanishad and Shveta Swatara Upanishad, and the Upanishadic verses run as follows: Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. See, this means that amongst all the living entities, like both condition means in the material world, liberated in the spiritual world, there is one supreme living personality, the supreme personality of Godhead as Paramatma, right? Who is maintaining both these conditioned and liberated souls, right? So he maintains them and gives them all the facility of enjoyment according to different work. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in everyone's heart as Paramatma. A wise man who can understand him is eligible to attain perfect peace, not others. Okay? Not everybody can understand, right? This now. The same thing is given, 16. See, this is the liberated soul who is in the spiritual world. He does not fall down. And the other one is the material. He falls down. That's what they're showing here. 18. Yasmacharam atitoham aksharat api chottamaha atosmi loke vede cha pratitaha purushottamaha. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Translation. Because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that supreme person. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Correct. Nah, thank you, Mataji. So, what they are saying, besides these two, who else is there? That is Krishna. He is the greatest, right? And in the Vedas also say the same thing. So let's see. Although the living entities and the Supreme Lord are both individuals, the living entities, either in the conditioned state or in the liberated state, cannot surpass in quantity. We've discussed earlier, right? We are similar in quality, but not in quantity, right? Whatever be the thing, we are never equal to Krishna. We are always the less in quantity, very less in quantity, but quality wise we have all the qualities that Krishna has. So it is incorrect to think of the Supreme Lord and the living entities as being on the same level, or on equal in all respects. Since both are eternal, we should not think that both the living entity and the super soul, both the soul and the super soul are on an equal level. Krishna is on an equal level. No, we may have the same qualities as Krishna, but the quantity will definitely vary. He is like Vibhu. We are like Anu, infinitesimal, very, very, very small compared to Krishna. So there is always a question of superiority and inferiority between their personalities. Okay. So he is therefore the greatest of personalities. In Vedas, Chandogya Upanishad, the super soul coming out of the body enters the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. The Lord in his form, he remains in his spiritual identity. That supreme is called the Supreme Personality, exhibiting and diffusing his spiritual effulgence, which is the ultimate illumination. So they are talking here about the impersonal Brahman. So that is the first stage of God realization. Okay, where people try to merge into the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. Okay, so that is the actually the illumination coming from Krishna's body. The self same supreme personality, he again has second stage they are talking about here, has a localized aspect as Paramatma. Right? By incarnating himself as the son of Satyavati and Parasura, he explains in the Vedic knowledge as Vyasadeva. That's how he appeared in front of them, right? As Paramatma. They were meditating. So he comes in the form of Paramatma. But the highest is Krishna. We should understand. That is the third, and that is obtained by Bhakti. So here, three shloki Gita they're talking. So they are two kinds of living entities, fallible and infallible. Fallible means conditioned, they fall down in the material world, and that's why they take bodies again and again. Infallible means liberated, they're where there's no birth, death. So they are, that's why they're in the spiritual world. And supreme soul, he is different. He is the master of both the fallible and the infallible. That is the conditioned and the liberated souls, and he's the greatest personality. He enters the three worlds and then maintains them. Okay, so Krishna is the ultimate, he's the sustainer, he's the maintainer, he's the cause of all causes, right? We are totally dependent on Krishna. Even we and the demigods, or anybody is dependent on Krishna. So Krishna says, I am the supreme soul, celebrated both in the world. This the Vedas are saying, in the world and in the Vedas as the supreme person. See, we can see everybody is worshipping, even Shiva, Brahma. See, everybody is worshipping. See, here Brahma along with the demigods, whenever they have a problem, they approach the milk ocean and they seek shelter of Vishnu. And even Lord Shiva is telling Parvati that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead here. So we are in. यो माम एवं असम्मूढ़ो जानाति पुरुषोत्तमं स सर्वविद् भजति माम सर्वभावेन भारत. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Mataji, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Translation: whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is to be understood as the knower of everything, and he therefore engages himself in full devotional service. O son of Bharata. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So here we see, right, Lord clearly explains one who truly knows him is the actual knower of everything. Such a person, devotee, without wasting any time, engages directly in Krishna consciousness. Should receive the Vedic knowledge called Shruti directly from Krishna or his representatives. Then only he will understand that knowledge. Should submissively accept that living entities or are always subordinate to the Lord. Such a person is supposed to be truly knowing the purpose of the Vedas. One should not simply speculate academically, like how the Jnanis they speculate, right? The, they say that God, there is no God, he is impersonal, like that. So, according to Vaishnava Parampara, one engaged in the devotional service of Krishna need not adapt to any other spiritual. He need not go to Ashtanga, Dhyana, or Karma, anything, any other spiritual process for understanding supreme truth. Bhakti yoga is always the highest, and all these other paths they finally end up in bhakti yoga. So why not we take a bhakti yoga initially itself? His preliminary process of understanding are ended. So let's the last sloka. Iti guhyatamam shastram idam uktam maya naga etad buddhva buddhiman syat krita kritascha bharata. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Translation. This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures. O sinless one, and it is disclosed how by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. Hare
So
Krishna.
Krishna is saying this is the most confidential path of a Vedic scriptures. So what is he saying? What will he say? And who knows this confidential knowledge? It will become wise. That's what whoever understands this will become wise and his endeavors will know perfection. He'll become perfect. Okay. So Krishna is saying devotional service. What is that confidential knowledge? He's saying devotional service is a process of spiritual understanding. And what it does when you do devotional service, it frees one from all contaminations of modes of material nature. It makes one intelligent and perfect in transcendental knowledge. So devotional service and material contamination both cannot exist, right? Like how light and darkness cannot exist together, like that devotional service and material contamination cannot exist. Lord is said to be the sun, and Maya is said to be ignorance or darkness. So wherever the sun is present, obviously there's no question of darkness. So, in the presence of devotional service, under the proper guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, there can be no ignorance. See, and the word anaga by which Arjuna is addressed is very significant. Significant means sinless one. Unless one is free from all sinful reactions, it is difficult, very difficult to understand Krishna. So we should have that pious credit. Those who are sinful, they cannot understand Krishna. Devotional service is so very pure and powerful that it automatically makes one sinless. So we don't have to make any special endeavor. Just by doing devotional service, we get all the good habits and we all the impurities in our heart they are removed. So, while performing devotional service, one must shred weakness of the heart. The first fall down is caused by the desire to lord it over material nature that prevents performing transcendental service to the Supreme Lord. So that's why, initially why we take so many bodies, because we think that we are the masters, we are the enjoyers in this material world. Enjoyers. So that is why we are put here. We are under that illusion, Maya. Okay, that's why we are not able to do loving transcendental service to the Lord. We are under that illusion that we are the enjoyers, we are the masters, and not Krishna. So that's why we fall down. That's why we take n number of bodies. Okay, the second fall down is attachment to matter. And one more reason why we fall down, we get attached to matter. Like we want to enjoy sense gratification, we get attached to our family members, everything, right? To lord it over material nature. So first five verses describe the process of free from the weakness of the heart, and from the sixth verse through the end, it discusses Purushottama Yoga. Okay, so knowledge explained in this chapter is the essence of Vedanta and the most confidential part of the Vedas. And what is the result of understanding this knowledge? One becomes wise and endeavors will become perfect. So, what is the qualification? You should be sinless. So, Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
So, this ends the chapter, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Thank